support whatever offer they're making at that point. And that's going to be their first offer.
What-
Can I interject a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. This part I know I didn't mention on the front end of things. My wife and I were involved in the Arrowhead Weston transmission line. Keith actually was one of our appraisers for our property. Oh, sorry.
And what's your name? Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Tom Krieger, president of Sol. Anyways, my wife and I, we actually went through this process with ATC. We had property that was impacted. ATC wanted to put their transmission line 100 feet behind our house with a 150-foot easement. And so we did have Kurt Keelich do our appraisal. And what I guess I'd like to let you guys know is that it's been our opinion, working with a lot of landowners as part of Sol, and then with the business that we formed afterwards called David and Associates, that basically on the front end, ATC is going to try and take those easements from you absolutely as cheap as they can. And it's in your best interest as landowners to, if it ever gets to that stage of the game, to educate yourself as to the process of how eminent domain works. Watch for things from ATC where they want to take rights away from you and they'll give you some token payment for losing that right. Like the use of herbicides, they might be willing to give you a $500 bill. If you allow them to get off the easement during construction, they might give you $250. There's all kinds of things that you have as rights of landowners that they want to take away from you. But as landowners who have gone through the process, I can tell you that it's worth your time and energy to educate yourself, to utilize folks like Kurt, professionals that have the knowledge in the world of condemnation and eminent domain, that you are going to come out much better in the end. Because ATC, as far as they're concerned, like you were saying, the easement starts here, there's absolutely no depreciation. It's up to you as individuals to really make the best of that bad situation. And that will be one of those things where if it reaches that stage, again, good communication and education with your neighbors is just extremely worthwhile. We actually did a lot of things as groups of landowners to try and share costs on things. There were certain times we'd hire an attorney for, we appealed the language of the easement as far as what their rights were and things like that. Instead of bearing that cost as individuals, we actually had a group of people, it was like 20 or 25 landowners, we shared that cost. And so there's a lot of things that can be done, but again, the biggest point I want to make is that guys like Kurt, it's definitely worth your time and energy to work with them if it ever reaches that stage of the game. Because ATC, as far as I'm concerned, does not play fair. They want to steal that easement from you for the least amount of money possible, and they want to have that easement worded with as many conditions in it as it is favorable to them, and not necessarily favorable to you. So educate yourself.
Was ATC originally a public entity and now it's been privatized?
ATC.
How can they condemn if they're not a public entity?
We're opening up a big
Why are you
can of worms,
laughing?
but I'll give you just a little bit of background on ATC. Again, going back to before the year 2000, Wisconsin had utilities and cooperatives scattered around the state that basically took care of the needs of the people in their area. I thought we said Alliant was or Wisconsin Electric or Xcel, one of them provides locally here. And basically you had generation locally, and then you had some amount of transmission linked into the neighboring utility that, let's say there was generation that was out of service, you could buy additional power from your neighboring utility or the next one over to keep your local needs met. And the transmission assets were owned by the local utilities in their territories. Then the federal government decided that we should deregulate electricity, so that electricity could be bought and sold on a national basis, bought in the Dakotas and sold in South Carolina through companies like Enron, probably remember that name. And so now these local transmission networks were opened up for all these wholesale transactions. And as part of this deregulation plan, the utilities had dollar signs just floating in their eyes. We can really make a lot of money off of this. And so they slipped an amendment into the 2000 budget that allowed for the formation of a Transmission Company, which is the beginning of ATC. And so ATC actually was formed by the various utilities and some of the cooperatives turning over their transmission assets to ATC in return for shares of stock in the company. So ATC is a for-profit, separate company, but in reality, its major shareholders are Wisconsin Electric and Wisconsin Public Service and a few others that elude me at the moment. So they'd like you to believe it's all separate. And it's the state that bestows the right of eminent domain onto ATC as part of this permitting process. Whether or not they truly have the right to condemn is something that someday I personally would like to see the legal challenge on. There is a lot of legal research that has actually been done that could challenge that right, but it takes a very specific set of circumstances, like basically it needs for ATC to condemn your property, and then there is a period of time where you as a landowner, it's a set window, can challenge the right of that entity to take your property. And you only have that window to make that challenge, and that's when it would have to be initiated to challenge ATC's right to take. And if we ever reach that point, I would definitely share more information with anybody who might be interested in making that challenge and some of the research that's been done.
ATC is named an agent of the state. I think that's how it's done. They are named as an agent representing the state in this issue, which and therefore they transfer the power of the state to the right of eminent domain because they are acting as agents of the state.
You could be correct on that.
So they serve us then.
Bestows on it.
So then they serve us, the public.
Yes.
Why are you laughing?
ATC serves us,